the regulars are either going to be not here or
Recording on.
All right. I think Kevin had his segment, which will defer until next month, either at the mixer or maybe the regular meeting. It was a Know Your Tools segment, I think he wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So that actually sounds pretty good. I think he wanted to do, just showing some measurements that he did on his bench tools, multimeter, and
I think something happened at work that kind of started it off, and then he was going to expand on it. So I'm not too sure exactly. But last minute thing cropped up for him, so he couldn't make it out tonight.
Right. He also had something about his AADE meter, and I didn't have a chance to look up what that is. Can anyone elucidate on what his AADE meter is?
That's the LC meter provided by AADE Electronics years ago.
Almost all digital electronics.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. LC meter.
Can't buy them anymore.
Okay.
If you can get your hands on one, they're good. They're pretty good. Although, we picked up, we had that club buildathon where we built the LC meter, but also included transistor, a semiconductor, all checking it all out in there as well off of eBay. And I did some comparisons, and actually the two of them kind of complement each other, because I can't remember. I think the one that we got off of eBay it can handle electrolytics and larger capacitor sizes much better than the AADE, and consequently the AADE can handle the much smaller values, whereas the one that came from eBay not so much. So you kind of need both.
Peter, can you guess where I'm at?
Sorry, was that
for Eric's barn? That's for sure.
Oh,
No,
I guess where you're. So that was that you, Phil?
yeah.
I don't know. I see a skylight above your head.
I'm on my recumbent exercise bike with my glass of red wine.
oh, geez. So you're trying to work off the red wine at the same time. Okay.
I may have to mute here for most of this.
We don't want to hear any heavy panting going on there, Phil.
Yeah.
I think it's the trucker mouth that's going to come if he has a few more of those, perhaps. But I've lubricated up as well with I have a growler that I brought back from the cottage. The local brewery up there in Gravenhurst had something on tap, which I couldn't pass up. It's 9.5%, so it's actually pretty close to your wine, probably. But it's called the Blood of Cthulhu. So any of you who are Lovecraft fans might recognize that reference. But yeah, it's interesting. It's not.
And
bad.
you're only having one glass, right?
One mug. I don't know what you call this, if that's a glass, but who knows? I don't know. The growler's still here, so it may be refilled. We'll see. So I got to keep it at least a little bit coherent for tonight. So all right. So this looks like the crew. We're 5 minutes into the meeting, so let us, without further ado, get started. So I'm filling in for Ken this month, and I believe actually I was filling in last month for somebody because I have my meeting notes from the regular meeting in September that I had jotted down. So, but unfortunately, I don't seem to have any notes from the last meeting that we did, the mixer. So I don't know if there's any business from that last meeting that we need to review or go over. But otherwise, from the regular meeting in September, I think there was nothing to follow up unless anybody's got anything to talk about. So I guess anybody bringing anything up, I've got one. I guess it's a resource that I came across. I was listening to a podcast, and I don't know if it's a little obscure. It was something that was online for many years, offline for many years, and now back again. A series of references from a Japanese amateur that I'll share later on. But that'll be my meager contribution for this evening's informal. Sorry, not informal. Sorry, the formal meeting. So. So there wasn't anything that was brought up, I believe, in the posting on the groups.io. Does anyone have any other presentations that they'd like to put on the agenda for this evening?
I haven't got a presentation, but I can talk about the radio design thing I found on YouTube if you like, just briefly.
Okay, sure. Yep, Michael, I'll mark you down for that. So, okay. All right. So I think we'll move on to the first person that was on the agenda, which is Peter. You had an LT Spice, if you're ready to go, talk to do.
Right.
If anybody has barking dogs in the background, if you could mute yourselves.
Can you see that?
Yep, looks perfect.
Okay. Just a couple of slides to go through a little bit of a preamble, and then we'll do some spice simulations with LT Spice. Okay, so Tanya is going to talk a little bit about using variables along with using the step legend and select steps. That's in one of the menus. The first simulation I'm going to show is just a basic RC circuit. It's nothing fancy. The only reason I was going to start with this one is because it's not fancy. There's only a couple of waveforms on it, and it's probably the easiest to go through the select step and step legend functions with just a couple of waveforms on the screen. I'll just quickly go through again. The curly brackets here by the capacitor denote that this is going to be a variable. In this particular case here, I'm going to use what's a list function here. So the values that are going to be used in here are going to be 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3 microfarads. The second simulation I'll go through is, again, not too many waveforms on it. And this particular circuit is what I developed for my project with the frequency counter portion. This is basically a preamplifier on it. And while I needed to boost some smaller signals up to a better value, I also wanted to limit the maximum output. So after several renditions on LT Spice, this is the circuit I came up with. And in this case, I wasn't really interested in the shape of the waveform for the most part, but I was just interested that the circuit would limit the maximum output voltage and go from there. So we'll just do a quick one on there, again using the step functions on there. In this case here, the variable is V2, and we'll be stepping through 0.1 to 0.5. It's a little bit different than the list function. This one here will be going from a minimum of 100 millivolts to a half a volt in 100 millivolt steps. And then the last one we'll talk about is where things get a little bit more cluttered on the screen. Again, it might not be the most efficient way to design a filter. I've not done too many designs of filters with the filter programs, but one of our local hams here, Andrew, was interested in. He was doing a 2-meter low pass filter, and we were talking about it one day, and he sent me his schematic, and I was going to run it into LT Spice, and decided to optimize the inductors that would produce the best filter profile. The values you see in the screen are what Andrew originally had picked or was using. And then if you'll notice on the inductors, there's 3 variables here. And then down here is the listing for each of the inductors. And here it's going to be going from 70 nano henries to 90 in 10 nano henry steps. Same thing with L3. And L2 will be a little bit different. It's going to go up to 110 nanohenries and then in 20 nanohenry steps. Otherwise, if you start making them finer, as you'll see that when we get to there, it'll be quite a bit cluttered. And just to go in advance for a little bit of homework, maybe you guys can think about ways you can use variables in your simulations. And then at our next mixer meeting on November 3rd, we can talk a little bit about what you came up with. Okay. Can you see the LT Spice screen now?
Oops, I was muted. Sorry. No,
Oh,
we're
the
still looking at the homework
presentation,
screen.
yeah.
You can see the Spice one?
Just
No.
the homework.
Oh, okay. Let me go back here. I probably have to stop sharing this one screen and then go back to the other one. Okay, how's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. All right. So here we are with the simple RC circuit. And we're going to get 3 waveforms. And we'll just zoom in on the waveforms here a little bit. Everybody's familiar with how to zoom in with your mouse? If not, just say hello. Okay, so here's 3 waveforms. And oh, one other thing too, if anybody sees a better way of doing something I'm going through here, please jump in and say so. And one of the problems I found was there's no real easy way to know exactly which waveform is to what value of the circuit. Like you can't right click on it and come up with it, and it'll tell you, oh, this is this run or run 1, 2, or 3, what have you. So the only way I know how to do it is you right click in the screen and then you go down to view and you come into here what's called step legend. I know it's a bit small, but you know, you can't expand it really much more. So here it's telling you the color of which run it is. So run 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3 in the colors. And it'll tell you the values of your variables, in this case, 100, 200, and 300 nanofarads. So that's pretty simple. And like I say, with a basic circuit, you can see plainly what it is. And if you're interested in only, say, you really only wanted to take a look at maybe 1 or 2 of those waveforms, you can then come back into view and click on select steps. And here it lists the 3 waveforms and the values. But they, as you can see, they don't spell it out with nanofarads. They give you the notion there. Okay, so if you're interested in just one of the waveforms, just click on the one waveform. You can actually click that off and they all go off, and then you can pick 1 or 2, whatever you want. Hold the control key and you can say pick 1 and 3, and then click on OK, and then you can observe the waveforms. Pretty simple, but I thought it was good to start off with this one there. We okay so far? All right.
Looks good.
Okay, so here's the frequency or the amplifier circuit I did. And again, this time we're not going to just do 3 little value. Well, it will. We're going to go a variable 100 millivolt steps. Okay, so here there's a little bit more waveforms in here because of the way I asked for it, and in this particular case, not only was I interested that we didn't go over a certain threshold of voltage, which is about 5 volts. I also needed to make sure it would amplify up to a certain level. Now it's been a while now, and I can't quite remember what that value was now. Probably was around 3 volts for this circuit, so it worked out. But again, now you can see here where I was getting the desired results. And in this case, again, we can go through the step legend, has a little bit more data in it now. But again, it tells you what color, what run it was, and then the value that was used. In the case here, run 5 was the 500 millivolt value. So if you're interested in a particular waveform at a particular voltage, I don't know, say run 3 is red, 300 millivolt input. So you could, if you want to just unclutter your screen, but again, it's not too cluttered so you can see easily. But when it gets a little more cluttered in the next one, you'll see what I mean. So you can just click on that. And there's the particular waveform that you're interested in at that time. So right click your screen, go into view, and then you can find your what it is you actually need. So again, if you want to bring in another one for a comparison, hold down the control key. If you want just to have 2 or whatever, not the whole mess, and then they can just see and then see if you're happy with that. Okay. That's that particular one. Okay, so here we're going to, instead of just having the one variable, we're going to have 3 variables going on at the same time. We don't need phase, so we'll just right click over on the column on the right there, and then just say don't plot phase, and that'll clear your screen up. Okay, so this is supposed to be a 2-meter filter, 2-meter low pass filter. So we're interested in this area right around here. We're at roughly about, here it's showing about -6 dB. So 3 dB down would be around the 9, but we'll just include for this first one. So we'll just zoom in on here for the first go around, see what we've got. Again, we don't really need all, here's 140 megahertz. So we don't need all this back here. So we can again focus in anything a little bit more. We'll just go down here to there. So now you can see where things are a little bit more complicated in that which waveform. And this is where it would have been really great if you could hover over a trace and it would tell you which run it was. And then you could select, you would know which one you want to have a look at when you went into view waveform. But I have not been able to find a way to do that easily. So the way I looked at it was I kind of would just go in and take a profile of what looked like the colors that were in the area of interest. So we thought, okay, looks like red has a waveform that's in there. Of course, there's a couple of reds that are way outside of what we're interested in. Blue is close by. And here, there's a gray trace that's a little bit out, but it's looks like it could be pretty good, those 3 colors there. And that might be a good starting point to work from. And it also depends on what the kind of response you want from your filter, where you want your cutoff point at as well.
Can I ask a question, Peter?
Yeah.
Okay, this thing, the filter had 3 inductors that are varying. So does the step thing say, okay, I'm going to take L1 and pick a particular value and L2 a particular value and then vary L3 and through the whole step? How does it do that?
It's not quite perfect because I have looked at it. Like originally I thought it was taking every possible combination of all 3 with all these values and roll them together, but it's not quite that. But basically it is. You'll probably see it a little bit when I bring up the step legend. And then you will see exactly the values that Weiss was rotating through. In this case here, they are rotating different values for each inductor comparing to each other. So they are going through a whole list, but I don't think they're actually picking up every single combination, but I haven't really looked into it too deep. Did that answer your question, Michael?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll go into the view and we'll take a look at the step legend. And you can see this one's quite a bit more, a little bit more in there. But if you take a look to your question, Michael, you can see up here at the top for the first run of 27, L3 was at 70, well, it's 70 and 70 and 70 nanohenries for all 3. And then the next run was, I know that might be a bit hard to see, but it's 80, 70 and 70. And then the third run went to 90, 70 and 70. So they kind of rotate like that all the way through. But again, like I said, I don't think it's not picking up every single possible combination in there, but there's enough of them. So we decided that we were interested in the red, blue, and gray traces. So what I did next was I just wrote down all the runs, different runs that were blue, red, and gray. So we got runs 2, 3, 6, 8, 14, 15, 18, 20, 26, and 27 are, excuse me, are the ones that I want to take a look at least at the first go around. Still a fair bit of traces. So right click, view, and come into select steps. So in here, I usually just click off on the auto range, and we'll go down the list. So click on run 2. Now hold down your control key. So we got run 2, 3, 6, 8, 14, 15, 18, 20, 26, 27. So now it's a little bit less cluttered, but you can now start to see the waveforms a little bit clearer, and well, you still have to guess around a little bit, but at least now you can make, eliminate some more out of the equation. So here's the area that we're interested in here. So you may say, okay, red and, well, might say red and blue could go in this case, but the gray, one of the grays isn't very good. But there is a gray right here that actually is coming down here, and then it comes back up again in the 2 meter band, and then she starts to tail off again here around 48, maybe 47 megahertz in around there. So that's not a bad idea. And then the 3 dB down area is around 9, so that's up at what is that, 158 megahertz. So it looks like the gray trace is probably the best. The red one is in there as well, but you can see it's a little bit lower than the gray, so that would eliminate that one. And all these down here pretty much can all go, especially if you got the gray. That particular run right there looks pretty appealing. So we'll go back into the select steps, and we're just interested in the gray. Now the gray was run 18 and 6. Oops, wrong key. Okay, so there's the 2 traces there. So one is, this top one looks pretty good, one we were looking at. And the bottom one we want to get rid of. So now it becomes, really, it's a 50-50 which one it is. So since I've gone through this a few times, I know which one it is. We'll go on to 18. So there's the profile of that particular filter, or combination of inductance. So up there, you had around 145 megahertz. At the bottom screen there, it says minus 6.02 dB. And let's go up to 147. There, 147, pretty much the same, not too much. So 3 dB down, you're in around the 9 range area. So 9, we're at about 158 megahertz, give or take, for the 3 dB point. So what's the easiest way? What value gave us that profile? So you go back into the step legend, and it'll tell you here, as it just happens to be, they're all the same, 90, 90, and 90 for L1, 3, and 2. Now, I guess once you're based on that, I won't do that here, but if you needed to, you could always come back here and get rid of the variables, plug in the 90, or maybe you might tighten these all up a little bit and see if you can fine tune it a little bit more. But anyway, that's what I've got for this particular use of the step legend and step legend and variables and select steps functions. Any questions?
Hey, Peter.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was someone else there. Is it possible to tie the steps to an output? So if you get a specific output, it'll change a particular value?
I'm not sure I follow what you mean.
So can you set, let's say, if there's if it goes, attenuation goes down, can you like keep increasing the one variable to see how low the attenuation goes? But have it do that, I mean?
Again, I'm still not quite understanding the question. Sorry, Howard. Like if you're running your simulations and the waveforms for what are the waveforms that are being attenuated,
Right.
and what do you want the simulation to do then?
Well, just sort of to find the maximum attenuation on its own. You know what I'm trying to say? I don't know if it's possible that way.
Yeah, again, I don't know. Does anybody else understand, Howard, that it can explain different? I'm not sure I'm following.
Like just trying to display like where the maximum is without having to just sort of
Right. Without having to guess the increments.
yeah. You know.
You mean get without guessing these ones?
Yeah. Yeah.
And let me just okay. Oh, okay. So the increments. Well, the increments I chose because if you went you already saw how many waveforms. There was 27 waveforms with those values.
Right.
So originally when I was doing it, the L2, which is right now showing 20 nanohenries, I had 10 nanohenries as well. But you put that into the rotation and you're also going up to 110 nanohenries. That adds a whole lot more waveforms in there that really weren't necessary and really clutters up things.
Oh, okay.
In this particular case, these values gave one where you could actually pick a waveform that's not too bad. If you ran through these series of waveforms where you couldn't, you couldn't. Well, here, let me go back to. Let's just. If you, let's say for the sake of the argument, you really wanted 170 megahertz to be your around your peak, say, like around there.
Right.
You probably want to shift this whole thing up, right?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
So,
Right.
So what you could do here is you come to your legend and you could say, okay, well, what's pushing this all the way up? I won't go through all of that, but I'll just illustrate what I would do.
Right.
We start taking a look at these here, and you can say, okay, well, just for the sake of the argument, here's a green trace, another green trace, and there's another green trace over there. So the first one is all three are 70. Now the next one let's assume that this is the first run, and this is the second run. We'll assume. Actually, you know what? Why don't we just do that? We got time. It's run 1, 13, 25. So we're going to select 1, 13, 25. So go back into the view and the legend. So assuming that you want to get out get up here, you want to push this all up there. Well, what values would you go with? So you could come back here and you can now say, okay, 70, 70, 70. Well, okay, L1 was all 70 nanohenries. They were increasing here on these particular ones. So you see what I mean? You might see the trend. You could, if you increase L3, and if you increase L2, it seems to maybe pushing that up there. So to confirm that, I would probably say, okay, let's have a look at run 25. And if run 25 is this one over there, then you can say, okay, well, then that's the one of interest. And it's not. So it looks like it's the other way around. Does
that makes sense?
Does that answer? Or
Yep. No, I see that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think that's what you would have to do, Howard. But then again, and if the first series of runs do not hit your desired profile, then you could use, there's a way you can use, okay, what set of values do you guess in there now? Do you decrease all these values, or do you increase the certain ones? So at least here with the runs that you've already done, you can make an educated guess as to what values to try next.
Right. Yeah. See, I forgot about checking back to the list of all of them and then see where the trends are from that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't mention it, but we're just doing a decade, 1,000 points per decade. And we're starting at 100 megahertz in frequency and going up to 500 meg.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
What, Peter?
Yeah.
You mentioned decade. What if you used octave? Like it doesn't really make any difference what you pick, does it?
I don't think so. I don't know enough about it to say what it is, but you know what? Since it's up here. Okay, so if we can remember that one.
Like if you change decade to octave, yeah. I don't think it.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's the same, right? It just
no. I haven't. Let's. I just put this up so we can see and then see what the changes, if any.
Well, it changes the scale at the bottom dramatically.
Yeah, but you're still, you still got. You're right. It doesn't. That's a good question. I guess we're gonna have to. I'm gonna make note of that and see if I can find the answer. Does anybody on tonight know what the differences are?
I've seen some stuff explaining it, but I'm not exactly sure. Take a look at it. A decade means every division is up by 10, I think. Up by a factor of 10.
Are there any other options there?
Oh,
No, that's all you got.
There's a linear list. Well, you know what? For all the time it's going to take. Doesn't look any different.
No.
Okay, well, that definitely did something, but I don't know what. Well, that did something different, but it's, you know what? I don't know what it's telling me in that regard. Where here's where we. It's funny how it shows it. The other sweeps didn't really show it going down like that, I don't think. Of course, this one's going way down to 60 megahertz as well.
I just wondered. I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't looked. I've tried to figure it out. Another simulation. I'm not exactly sure what it does. I just give up and just use octave or decade, one or the other, and forget about it.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find the answer, and I'll do a posting on it. Good question, though. Any other questions?
There is no interactivity at all with that graph, right? It's sometimes a little hard to, when you've got so many, to determine which is which.
Well, yeah, even if you spread it right out, just
You
you,
should-
you
There's
come up.
definitely no setting where you can enable.
See in there, there isn't really anything there to show it. Tools.
It'd be interesting just to find see if there's something
View. Yeah,
hover hints or something like that.
you would think, but I have not found anything.
Yeah.
So I suppose I could post a question on the LT Spice groups, but I have to be careful that I have to do a lot of reading before I post on. Those guys can be brutal if you ask a stupid question.
Yeah.
Or if you ask a question that's plainly in sight of the help screens. Let me rephrase it that way. They don't mind helping you, but I wouldn't ask a question that could be easily found by just clicking on help.
I guess it's a matter of taking a simple circuit and just playing with it and seeing if you can figure out what's going on.
You mean with the decade and step and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's just very quickly. Well, I didn't have to redo that. We know what that does. But so there's that one. That's not what I want. Oh, this is a tight. Oh, this one's totally different. That's right. This was that wasn't a good example.
Question for another day.
Yeah. Okay.
Never mind.
All right. So if anybody stumbles across on how to identify those waveforms without having to go through what I had to go through in here, that'd be great to know. But other than that, any other questions? Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that, Peter, for the demonstration. So I think you well used up your half-hour allocation on the agenda. So we're at about 45 minutes into the meeting, I believe. So all right. So that was the first presentation that we had for the evening. I believe Michael, you wanted to talk briefly.
Well, I
give us an update.
I can show you, if I can figure out how to share the screen, I can show you what I discovered, I think. Where is that? Share screen, okay.
Right beside the camera icon, I think.
Window, I guess I want window. Yeah, this here. Yeah, I ran across this YouTube video series. It's done by this guy, Megawatt KS. And this is a playlist for, on the right here, this is the playlist for what he's got for this particular Radio Design 101. So he talks about filters, and then he talks about episode 1. There's an episode 2, I think. Then he talks about episode 2, part 1, part 2. And likewise episode 3. And he goes through filters, then he goes through impedance matching, then he goes through amplifiers, and he goes on to talk about oscillators. And he talks about having a series on mixers, but I don't think he's done it yet. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting, which is why I'm just pointing it out that it's there. And they're pretty good, I thought. He explains it pretty well, what the different parts of the circuits do, and he goes back to schematic diagrams of real, like an SB 102, I think it was, he went to, and he talked about what was in it and sort of explained what the different parts do. I thought it was pretty good anyway. So that's all I wanted to say.
How many have you gone through?
I went through all of these, and each
Oh, you
one,
got- okay.
let me see if I can figure that out. What did I do here? Bookmarks, amateur radio.
Can you put the link in the chat,
Sure, yeah.
or even do a post?
Radio design. Yeah, this is what
Maybe even do a posting as well, Michael.
I will. Yeah, this is what I looked at. You can see this on the right hand side. These things here. Can you see my? Can you see my? Put it this way. Can you see my bookmarks page? That should be being shared.
No, I'm not sure.
No?
Yeah, no, I think we're just seeing your shared window at the moment. Your YouTube.
Oh, I guess I have to. I won't bother them. But
You'd have to share the whole
there's a
thing.
whole bunch of them, and sure, I'll share the link to the to the name here, and you can have a look. But I thought it was pretty good, and he's done a number of them on the Nano VNA, which and the Tiny SA. He talks about using the Tiny SA as a signal generator, which is kind of interesting. I have one, but I've never tried it. So, and he's talking about VHF. He uses an FM frequency as a model to do all this stuff. He talks about the frequency range he uses for all his filters are in the VHF range, or 80 to 100 megahertz or something. My interest is 40 meters, for example. So, so I'm going to try to use what he's done here and learn a bit with 40 meters just to experiment. But I thought it was pretty interesting anyway. I just wanted to show it to you. Okay, I'll put the link, maybe this one at the top, into the chat.
Michael, actually, I just put it in the chat. Actually, his his main page, his homepage, I should say. So.
Yeah. That's good. Okay, yeah. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there.
Maybe we're posting on the groups IO as well, so that people who are not attending here we'll see.
Okay. I'll do that.
Actually, sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Unless Eric wants to do it, I'll do it later.
Okay.
Yeah, if you could do it, Michael, that'd be great.
Sure. Yeah. I'll just write up a little note saying what it is and what it does and stuff. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
I just had a quick boo through his video list here, and he's actually got probably about at least a dozen on the Nano VNA alone. So if any of you have one that's collecting dust somewhere like I do, might be worthwhile. They seem to be fairly concise, like 15, 20-minute videos on a particular topic. And like I said,
these are anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes. One of them's 50 actually, fairly long one. But Al Wolke has done some stuff on Nano VNAs as well. It's pretty good. So yeah. Okay.
Actually, if anybody comes across interesting YouTube sites, let us know.
So that should have unshared the screen, did it?
Yep.
Okay.
Eric.
Yes.
Since Michael's brought this topic up, let me just share my screen for something here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, please go ahead.
It's actually right along the same lines as what Michael was talking about. And speaking of Al Wolke, can you see this?
Oh yeah, this is from Al.
Yeah. I did do a posting a few weeks ago about Al Wolke was doing I subscribe to what's it called? Electronic design site. And they post all kinds of neat information and things like that. A lot of the stuff I just delete, but there's every once in a while you'll catch something that's interesting, and the website has a lot of interesting information in there. And they have videos and seminars and webinars, all those kinds of things. And Al did one. I forget what the topic was now. I think it had to do. No, I can't remember what it was. About 3 weeks ago, I think. Anyway, he's doing another one. I think this one's November 4th. I mean, I'm not going to read all this. You guys can read it or whatever. But it's about the oscilloscopes and best practices. And he'll also take you through common problems related to probing signals and ways to fix them and all these kinds of things. So I think this might be if you're not doing anything on November 4, I think it is around 1:00 Eastern. He's doing another webinar on the guide to oscilloscope basics and best practices. So I'll post the link in the chats. But whoops, what happened there? And then as we talk, I'll post it in there. So if anybody's interested, you got to sign up for it, but it's no big deal. You just put your name and fake business and all that kind of good stuff.
Did you watch the first one?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Is it suitable for scope neophytes?
I can't remember what the first one was about. You know what? It was very good. I think a lot of it was geared for really professional use of stuff, but but I think this one would be more in our realm of things.
Right.
But
So is he repeating the same webinar? Is that what's going on, or is this?
I'm sorry.
Is this a series or just one off?
Well, electronic design always has some kind of webinars of some description going on. And like I say, about 3 weeks ago or so, Al Wookie's name popped up as he was giving one, and I hadn't seen that before. And now here he is again a few weeks later, and he's doing another one. So maybe he's going to, of course, he's going in there as a Tektronix applications engineer,
Right.
but maybe he's going to do a few more.
Okay, so this is the November 4th topic that you're showing us?
This one here is the November 4th topic, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, looks like it's basics here. So.
And what you see is what you get. So what you see on his YouTube channel is what you're going to get on this webinar. The same kind of talking, the same explanations. So it's it's easily understandable.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'll put that in the chat.
Great. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that. I guess if we're in the sharing vein at the moment, I can share my. Let's see here.
Hey, Eric, can I just interrupt for 1 sec?
Sure, please.
We got two ends of the spectrum here. We got Cherry relaxing at the beach in the sun.
I saw that.
Then we got Al in a tie.
Al in a tie. I didn't see that.
I just came back from work, so I apologize.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Didn't even notice that. Huh. I feel like a slob. Huh.
Okay.
Jericho veins of bad.
Do the Rodney Dangerfield move now. No respect. All right. So I have, I guess, two things to share. Give me a moment to click my button here. So we are sharing, I guess, a Chrome tab in this case. So we've got this, which is that, can you see the whole screen there?
Mhm.
Yep. So this was a Japanese amateur, again, QRP centric. That's his name there, right? Kazuhiro Tsunamura. That is him there. But a whole bunch of just general topics on, circuitry and amateur, QRP circuitry. And it kind of goes on and on here for, I think, several hundred, at least something like that. And apparently this is somewhat of a, I guess, a legend in the QRP circles from many years ago. I think a lot of these perhaps were from the 70s, maybe in the 80s, but anyway, something to look at. He's got obviously lots of different interests here. If you look at some of his postings down at the end here, in going into audio and metal detectors and all that. But anyway, something to, perhaps look at when it comes to simple circuits, the kind of things that we play with. You might want to make a note of this website of his. Apparently, again, it was available for many years, but now has resurfaced on the internet, and so there might be something in there for you. So I will post that in the chat as well for you to have a look at. And the other one that I came across was, again, those of you that are interested in the old Heathkit side of things. Again, I can't remember where I heard this from, but there is a few books that are put out by this WA7ZZE. So he has a few books here that are available. I believe they're all like a self-published kind of thing, and there might be ebooks or actual physical books. But anyway, those of you that are into the old Heath kit products might be interested in checking this out as well. His site, so a lot of nostalgia here that might appeal to some. So there you go. He calls himself an industrial archaeologist. So archiving things. It'd be interesting to see what his basement looks like, I'm sure. So there you go. I'll post those in the chat as well for those that are interested. So just wanted to share those couple things that I came across, and might be things to keep in your bookmarks for having a run through when if and when the need arises. So that was something that I wanted to share, and there you go. So anybody else have anything on their desktops that they'd like to share with us? No? Okay. If not,
I have a few shorts, Ken, but they're not really quite ready just yet. So next month maybe, but don't really have much else for tonight as far as show and tell kind of thing.
Right. So yeah, that was, I guess, really the next thing on the agenda was any projects that any of you guys have going on or are involved with. Now's the time to bring things up if you want to show anything that's brewing on your bench. So
Not sure if I showed it at the last meeting, but I finally filled up this board of all my trials and tribulations of milling. Up there is where the really small stuff is, the ST70 size stuff. I can get it close, but not quite there. But down around here, this area here is starting to get a usable circuit boards out of it. But I can't really get much more onto this board, so I'm probably do one or two more trials on it. I'm getting close. I don't want to go quite so deep, but at least I'm starting to get a board now that's usable. And maybe by next month sometime I'll have the board ready to go for my data logger project. Hopefully I'll get it done before Christmas. If I get it done for Christmas, I could wrap it up and give it to myself, I guess.
okay, thanks for sharing that, Peter. Anyone else have?
I've got something very brief.
Sure, Phil. Please go ahead, Phil.
Can you see that?
Yes.
It's something I ordered recently to change my guy ropes from my R8 vertical. It looks like it's fairly expensive, $100 for 150 meters of Dacron, 3/16. But I'm very, very pleased with it. I took the R8 down and put a whole bunch of guy ropes on it for this Dacron, and then I have a 2-meter egg beater up about 25 feet or so, and I use the Dacron part of that roll for that as well. And it's the first time I used Dacron, and I'm very, very impressed with it. It's very, very easy to use. It's extremely strong, and it's easy to tie. It looks like it stays tied very, very well. So this is what you get, 150 meters from Amazon.ca for $100. And somebody else said that Princess Auto had a good deal on Dacron, but I don't know anything about that at the moment. So that's it.
You mean you weren't splicing the rope? You were just tying knots? What about eye splices there, Phil?
I don't think I want to try to splice the Dacron.
Although, mind you, were in the Air Force, not the Navy. I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Phil. Yeah, last time I bought Dacron was at Hamvention, I think. I forget the name of the place, actually, but big seller of all things rope back at the old Hara days. So I still have quite a bit of it, and yeah, definitely good stuff. So handy to have around. All right, any other show and tells for the evening? No? Okay. not exactly a show and tell, but kind of a show and tell, a little bit off topic here, but I had the pleasure of a brief tour of Peter's shack. So I saw a three-dimensional version of what we all see in 2D and behind him there. It doesn't really give you the full scope of what you see when you're actually there. So, yeah, saw it with my own eyes, and now I have a frame of reference to work on, and yeah, very kind of very what's the word I'm looking for? Versatile area that he's got there to work in. Kind of envious of his organization and all that. So yeah, very good. It was on my way back from Ottawa. Actually, I had some business there, and was picking up a actually. So there it is. This is again very off topic for the Homebrew group, but that is my new baby. It's a plug-in hybrid Prius. So picked that up. It's about 5 model years old, but very impressed with it. Been driving it for about 48 hours now, and wow, I jumped about 17 years in vehicle models, so kind of coming from to current, but just some interesting specs that you guys might be curious about. Plugged it in for the first night on Monday when I got home, and looked at the little kilowatt hour meter that I had put in line with the charger. It just charges on a 120 volt circuit. It's a 12 amp brick. It looks a little bit larger than a laptop charging brick kind of thing, and I took a look, and I think it was 6 kilowatt hours for empty to full charge on it. So at current rates, not including delivery and all that, I think that's about 50 cents worth of electricity. And then did the math on what that same range, I think, gives me about 55 odd kilometers. My old car, which was a 2004 Accord, would take about $7.50 at current gas prices, which were nearing $1.50 at most stations between here and Ottawa that I saw. So $7.50 in gas on my old car compared to 50 cents in electricity for this one. So yeah, definitely the way of the future. I think if I'm sure maybe there's some in this crowd that have made the jump to electric already, but pretty cool. So
Question.
Sure.
This is a used one, I guess, but if you got a new one, what kind of warranty comes on the battery, and what happens when the battery needs to be replaced?
Oh, good questions. I am actually a little bit conversant in these things now that I looked through the 5,000 page manual that I downloaded. There was no manual in the glove box, but certainly freely available like anything else these days online. So I am just outside of the warranty period for the battery system. On this car, it would have been 160,000 kilometers. So whoever had this car previously pounded in the miles. It's been on the road just under 4 years and 162,000 on it. So they were putting on about 40,000 a year on this. So, but it looks very gently used, so probably highway miles. But anyway, 160 was as of 5 years ago. That's what the 2017 owner's manual says. I don't think it's wildly different. Toyota, I think, has typically 5-year 100,000 on most things, but 160 on the battery system. The technician I spoke to at the Belleville Toyota, when I had it inspected independently from the dealer that I bought it from, said, because I asked him a question, when you do the inspection, are you inspecting the charging and the traction battery system? And he said, no, there are no tests for that, which kind of surprised me. I thought, maybe capacity tests or something, but no, they have no routine test for that. But he says, he just kind of shrugged it off. He says, no, you know what? These things go for 15 years probably before you have to address something like that. Speaking of which, I just saw a article in, I don't know if it was Nature magazine or Science or whatever, but some kind of peer-reviewed journal in the last day or two that said that recycled electric vehicle batteries are just as good as new ones. So, you know, whatever they have to do them to rehabilitate them, it sounds like the scientists are coming along with that side of things. So, you know, you might be able to just, you know, like your propane cylinders, just, you know, take a whole unit out, put it in the cage and pull out a new battery pack to pop into your car every 15 years or whatever it is. So I have no idea what the pricing would be for a new battery module for this vehicle, but you know, so far so good. You know, it charges up within what would be expected, about 5 hours to bring up to a full charge. And like I said, this, you can force the car into electric only mode essentially, and not use the gas at all. There's so many settings on this this vehicle. It's almost bewildering. Probably like learning LT Spice or something along those lines. But whatever, getting a little more familiar with it, and you know, a brand new one runs about 35,000 or so. I think that's the starting price of a 2022 Prius plug-in hybrid. But you know, got this one for 16, so you know, pretty happy with that. Decent savings, and you know, the thing is pretty much brand new. So, Peter, you've had your hand up a few times.
Yeah, a couple of things. Yeah, it was a good visit, Eric, when you stopped by. And I will say, Eric, you did raise the bar for the price of admission to a shack. It used to be free at one time, but when you showed up and handed me over 2 bottles of homebrew,
Yeah,
that's not a bad deal. You can come by anytime.
right.
Those are nice bottles. I'll save them for you.
What if they could? Well, somebody could play a tune for you. Maybe that might be worthy. You know.
Yeah, I have as I said, Eric, my studio is just outside my shack. So if I let out too much smoke out of the shack, I just go next door and play some music. The other thing I was just going to say, a couple of things. I'm wondering how. I mean, I don't want to get too much into it, but is the battery very accessible in that car?
Yeah, if you open up the hatchback, there's I think a screw or something that you have to take out. It's not really meant for, you know, tinkering with, and the manual obviously tells you not to. But yeah, it's all. I think you can get at everything. You know, all the connectors and everything is quite exposed there once you take the little covers off.
So you know, in about 10 years' time, when you start having some electrical problems, you can always open that up and put your voltmeter across individual cells and put the car under load. So Dave can sit in the trunk of your car and make the measurements for you as you drive around and see which cell is dropping off on you. And of course, it sounds like you're going to save a ton of money with this. So I'm assuming that this is all going to your Dayton bank account, that savings money. So the Sigmund booth is going to be on your list?
Yes, absolutely. $7 every 50 kilometers is going towards my next meal. So,
what are you looking at buying at the Siglet at the next Dayton?
Right. Well, I don't know. I guess maybe by rates I should learn how to use the equipment that I have already to its maximum potential. So,
buy a pressure analyzer and lend it to somebody until you can get around to learning it.
Yeah, well, I was admiring yours. That's right behind your noggin there, actually, when I was there on Monday. But yep, there she is. So, but yeah, no, I don't think I'm ready for that yet. Maybe a tiny essay, but no, the big boy I think is ways off in my future. So, haven't even you know, played with the Nano VNA that I got for my birthday 3 months ago. So that's the first thing on the list. So anyway, okay, enough of that. Like I said, it's one of those things, though, that, you know, I know it's maybe old hat to some, but kind of like when I first looked at a web page on the internet back in 1994 or 1995, I kind of sat back and said, oh, this is the future, and kind of got that feeling with this electric vehicle, you know, like it is absolutely the way forward.
What make is it?
Toyota. Yep. So, you know, pretty common. I mean, you know, like I think every taxi in Vancouver is a Prius. So, you know, it's I think the Accord of electric vehicles, right? Basically. So, no shortage of, you know, people probably tinkering with them, spare parts, whatever. So,
Full charge is how many kilometers on it?
how many kilometers on the range?
Yeah, on full charge.
Full charge it's fairly modest. About 55 is what it was telling me on the screen. So, and obviously it's being a lithium-ion battery, it's going to decrease as it ages. So it might have even been longer, when it was new or first on the road 4 years ago. But I don't think much more than probably 60. That seems to be about right when I look at the nominal specs on the promotional literature from when it was new. Of course, you can buy electric vehicles like the Nissan Leaf that have, I think, upwards of 200-300 on them, or if you've got the 60, 70, 80, 120,000, the Teslas go 500, 600 kilometers on a full charge, but they don't have, neither of those, the Leaf or the Tesla have the gasoline backup. And I still wasn't fully comfortable with all electric at this point. I mean, yeah, you can charge at home, there's charging stations if you're maybe strategic, but for long distance drives, it's kind of nice to have the gas as a backup. It really sips fuel. Like the total range, if you have a full tank, and which is I think 43 liters, and like it's a 1.8 liter inline 4 continuously variable transmission, so you don't get the nice gear shifting of a normal transmission. That bothers some people, but not really me. But anyway, combined range is I think pushing about at least 900, if not 1,000 kilometers on, like I said, 50 cents worth of electricity and whatever it would be, I guess, 43 liters of gas, which these days is probably still $50. But yeah. Anyway, so that
Couple of comments.
Sure.
I wonder if the chip shortage is affecting, and I'm sure it must be, the electric vehicles as well. And maybe this whole worldwide shortage of things is affecting battery technology and batteries for electric cars. And also, maybe after the next Ontario election, there'll be a subsidy put back on electric cars, or a discount that you can get like there was before.
Right. Yeah, because Ontario did scrap that. There's just a federal discount that you get these days. I believe it's substantial. I think whatever it is, 5,000 or thereabouts. But yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Ford decided to scrap that. I believe it was on his watch. So
that was 15,000 in Ontario.
15,000.
15, yeah.
Wow.
One of the
Okay.
hands here in Kingston got a fully electric Golf, and he got 15,000. Maybe it was 10,000 Ontario and 5,000 federal. I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, this car is essentially it's might as well be new. And if you're looking to capture a little bit of savings, buying a used one. I mean, I know it's not everybody's fancy, but I've had no problem doing it as long as you're do your homework and your due diligence. You generally can score pretty well. So there's something else I was going to mention about this technically wise, but I can't remember what that is now. Anyway, so there you have it. Anyway, so that is that for my little show and tell, but very enamored of it, as you can probably guess. So, all right. Well, Al, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just thought wasn't really prepared, but I'll show you what I'm wading into right now. I think on the last mixer meeting, I mentioned I got my latest copy of Sprat magazine, and there was a lovely little QRP digital watt meter and SWR meter that I've started accumulating parts for. Let me share my screen here for you, and I'll quickly show you what I'm getting into. Let's go ahead and start sharing. Can you see this?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, okay. I heard a yes.
No, not yet. No.
Okay. Is there a trick to sharing screen here?
Well, as long as you've clicked that little icon beside your camera icon at the bottom, and then just choose whether you want to show your whole screen, just a window or a tab on your browser, and then
Okay.
share.
I guess entire screen.
Yep.
And
Well, it depends on whether you want to share the screen or a Chrome tab or a window.
If it's entire screen, then it's more versatile because you can flip back and forth.
Yeah.
But if it's just one thing you're showing, then just the window is probably
I'm
fine.
trying to show a Microsoft Edge screen.
Go to window. You might see it there.
Okay.
It has to be open. Like you have to open it first. But can you see it in the window tab?
How about that?
There you go.
All right. Yeah, this is it was also posted by the original ham, G8 GYW, and he's put all the information on a GitHub here. So it's done in an Altoids case with a. Oops, what just happened here? Bear with me. I just. I think I just lost it. Okay.
Just hit your back screen, maybe.
Oh, there it is. Okay, there we go. So it's done on an Altoids tin. Nice little digital thing with just a bridge and an 80 mega chip. Lots of stuff in here. I'm going to scroll through just a little bit, but you can see, well done. He's given us PC board printouts, so it's fairly straightforward. Surface mount technology. I have to laugh, though. I've been sourcing parts and they've been coming in, and all these little resistors and capacitors are in an 805 package, and I had no idea how small the 805 resistors and components are. This thing is going to be a challenge for me to assemble, but it looks really straightforward. He's given us, you can see there's a picture of the inside of it. He's got the program and everything we would need, parts list, and I guess the PC boards are, I'm sorry, say again?
Just go back to the parts list for a second. Just want to see the chips they were using. Oh, at Mega. Okay, scroll down just a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's it looks pretty good. Small parts. That's got me worried. I don't think I've ever dealt with components quite this small. The PC board is double-sided, fairly straightforward. And he's provided PDFs of that as separate files. I'm going to try to etch these in-house. I was looking at it, and it's going to be again a challenge for me. It's finer than anything I've ever tried to do, but we're going to give a shot at it and see what happens. So anyhow, let's see if I can stop sharing here, and are we stop sharing? And okay, I'm back. So that's what I'm up to. Been buying and ordering parts. They're all coming in now. So over the next month, I'm going to try to etch a PC board and see what happens. It looks like a cute little project, and well, who knows? Maybe we might want to consider it in the future for a build-a-thon or something.
Make sure you have a really good set of tweezers, not a cheap set, because the cheap ones will ping the SMD for sure.
Yeah, I've used the SMD from some of the PARC build-a-thons, and they were large compared to these components.
Yeah, we generally use 1206s if we're using.
Yeah.
805s are doable. Yeah, they're a bit smaller. No kidding. I would avoid them if I can, but I wouldn't worry too much. But yeah, you know, the usual thing: tin one pad, just a little light tin on one side, and then move it in and go slow. Lots of good light.
If I have to, I'll redesign the PC board and use through-hole components. But I figured it's all presented to me in one package, so let's give it a try and see what happens.
Document your PCB making. There's your presentation.
That's well, I've never done a double-sided, so that's going to be the next development.
Good.
Anyhow, that's what I'm up to right now.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Al. Cherry, I believe you had your hand up earlier.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell everyone I could, experience all the weekend. So I had a short and nice eyeball kiosk with Peter in a parking lot. I hope Peter remembers it. So I drove. So I'm living in Oshawa, and I drove from here, 2 hours to Kingston. Wanted to go for this Hamfest in Kingston.
That's right.
Morning it. Sorry.
I thought I recognized. I couldn't get the name out on Saturday. We parked right beside you, and I think I know this guy. What's his name? You know when you see somebody out of context?
Wait a sec. There was a ham fest in Kingston?
Well, a rain
Yes.
fest.
And you know what? I
And you
saw
didn't
Peter
invite
in the
everybody?
parking lot.
You should have
Sorry?
said something, Cherry. Holy cow! Now I feel bad.
I think I noticed that because I was in mask. Probably Peter doesn't recognize me.
There you go.
The best part was later because, much before that, it is raining like anything. I've not seen rain like this in Canada, to be honest. So
You might remember I was parked right beside you. I rolled down my window during the rain and waved my hand, and we talked for a moment.
oh yes. Okay. Now I remember. Sorry about that. I miss you like Peter. So
You should have come down in there because we actually, when the rain stopped, the area where they had it was all outdoors, and when they cleared the sewer grade, it drained about 4 inches of water away. So
yeah.
the canopy
Oh,
tarps and stuff, so it was all dry. So the only person really that was selling anything was Harold McFarland. And he was selling a little bit of odds and sods and whatnot. And then Dave E3 EAC went and bought a tower and whatnot off of them. So there was some money spent there, that's for sure, but not by everybody.
Was this fairly recent?
Yeah, Saturday.
Oh, I just missed it then. Yeah.
Well, you had the rain on Friday. We got it Saturday.
Right.
It was a rain of biblical proportions. So
Yes,
I came home and there was a foot and a half of water in our street in our cul-de-sac where there's never been water before.
So I
And
think
my car
I
got washed big time underneath. Engine and everything got all good and wet.
yes, it was raining like anything. And now I remember I met Phil in the parking lot, but I failed to recognize him because he, probably Phil looks a little bit, little bit different from the image here. So maybe I'm wrong because it's all wet. I don't know. And it was then I drove back 2 hours. That's it.
I feel really bad now. We could have gone for a coffee. Oh, yeah. Next time, say.
And I did not know about this until maybe 7 to 10 days back because that's when it came on the Radio Amateur Canada website. Before then, it was not there. I think somebody put it there maybe later. So
Well,
I did not, yeah.
After I got out of the car, Cherry, I went down into where everybody was gathering, and I was talking to Rick, and I said to Rick, I was talking to a guy out in the parking lot, and I know him. Like, I know the face from somewhere. I just can't place it.
So, Cherry, any acquisitions there?
No, nothing
No?
No. McFarland had set up with just some connectors and stuff, and then there was one other guy that had some old Heath kits and a couple other things, I think, there.
Yeah.
And
And better not buy anything on that day because everything is totally wet.
a lot of guys turned around, and they were making the drive in, and they said, "Nah, I'm not going to bother because it's the setting up." They just didn't want to deal with all the rain and whatnot. It took out the light.
I got
Peter was offline for a couple of days.
when I got home and unloaded all the stuff out of the back of my car, I said to myself, "My goodness, I got all this stuff for free."
Rick said this is the first ham fest he's ever gone to where he didn't buy anything.
Okay. Thanks, Jerry. Dwayne, you had comment?
Yeah, I'm going to post a link on the group's IO. The SWR power meter that he's building there is real similar to one that I built a couple of years ago, and I'll I got a post on my blog about it, and I'll post the blog location on the group's IO.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, actually, maybe Al as well. If you could make a posting for that, it seems to be maybe a little obscure, the project, maybe because it is fairly nascent. But okay, perfect. Thank
There you go.
Yep, great. That was fast, quick on the draw. All right. I know you don't have your hand up, Hassan, but looks like you had something going on there. You had like I don't know if you're walking down like long hallways or something, but if you're still within range, if you're copying me, there you are. Good evening.
Nothing going on really on the radio front. Just been busy with work. So I got that wooden clock finished. Well, almost finished. It just needs to be tuned now. It runs for about 2 minutes before it stops. So now I have to, work out the kinks, tighten it up and stuff. But I got that finished mostly. And yeah, nothing else at the moment.
Okay.
So.
All right. Oh, very good. So, yeah. Anyone else has anything else to add? And if not, then I think we may wrap this up. It's closing in on 9 o'clock. So,
Just one last thing then for me.
Sure. Yeah.
I was just going to say we're looking for more member profiles. Anybody like to give us a 30-second blurb or a 2-minute blurb or a 10-minute blurb, whatever. Same thing with presentations. Don't have to be the full-blown presentation. Can be just little shorties, 5-minute ones, 2-minute ones, whatever. Whatever interests you, well, let's talk about it. Put on a couple slides or whatever the case may be, and then let's go from there. That's it.
Well, we'll have Kevin, I think. Hopefully the stars align to have him do his segment. I'm not sure if he was holding that for the regular meeting or the mixer, but we'll see what happens. Either or, I guess, really. It was about a 15-minute presentation, I believe, 10, 15 minutes that he wanted allotted.
Yeah, it can fit in the mixer. They can fit in or alongside a major one, at this particular meeting. Just depends on what we have. We're a little thin right at the moment, so if anybody has something.
Yep, I should have something in line for the next meeting as well. I believe the mixer, I should have it
The mixer, okay.
up and running. So maybe 10, 15 minutes. I'm not going to reveal the topic right now, but it might have something to do with the nano VNA. So yeah.
If anybody has something on the works and ready to go, we could do something in November. Right now, we don't have anybody for November, December. I mean, I have something I could use if for November if we don't have something. But anyway, people might be getting sick of hearing me talking.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Good. Okay. Well, have a good evening, everyone. Thanks for attending, and we will see you in a couple weeks. Next meeting is November 3rd, Wednesday, November 3rd. So 2 weeks from now. So, all right.
November 3rd, we have changed our frequency.
Do I have that wrong? No, Wednesday, November 3rd is what I've got. I think that's right.
Yeah. Hosted by you.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so now it's every 2 weeks.
No, it's the first and third Wednesdays of every month. That's the pattern. So. Yeah.
Okay.
First for the mixer, third for the regular meeting, as before. So. All right. So grab your links in the chat there. It's going to disappear soon if anyone needs to get them. And
don't forget your homework.
Right. You should maybe post that even in the groups, the homework. No?
Okay, I'll do that.
All right, get your LT Spice chops up.
All right.
Okay, all right. Thanks.
73,
gentlemen.
73.
73.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Oh, man. Everybody's gone.
Everybody's going. I can't. There it is.
Okay.